Good evening. Earlier this year, I asked my daughter to help me out coming up with a name for a YouTube channel based on historical true crime. And I asked her, what would a history nerd call a show about true crime? And she came up with the perfect thing. So welcome, my friends, to Nurder. If you were a young woman living in Hungary in the 16th century, you would probably want to avoid Countess Bathroy's castle, Elizabeth Bathroy. For 24 years, Countess Bathroy enjoyed torturing and killing peasant girls. She started with peasant girls, I should say, but then some of the villagers became wise and started hiding their daughters. So the Countess had to move on to the gentry. She lured daughters of other nobles to her house, sometimes under the guise of etiquette lessons. Rumors that she bathed in the blood of these young women were never proven. However, the rest of the gory details did all come out at her trial, truly earning her the name of the Bloody Countess or the Blood Countess. Now this bit I did write down because I need help pronouncing this guy's name. So she came to the area after becoming betrothed to Count Ferenc Nadasdy. He was 16 years old and she was 11. They shared many things, including children, an estate, and a shared love of debasing their maids. Elizabeth's penchant for domestic abuse followed her wherever she went. She hired a team of personal assistants, including 3 older women, 1 disfigured boy, and a reputed sadistic witch named Anna, who eventually became her lover. Elizabeth and Anna used a variety of techniques to torment the lesser servants, with Anna being the spearhead of this torture squad. For example, in winter, they would take a young woman out into the snow and pour cold water on her until it turned to ice and she froze to death. In another instance, they would slather her with honey and tie her up outside for the insects to devour. They also shoved needles under fingernails, sewed mouths shut, and clubbed girls with razor-sharp weapons until they died. Good times. Other servants witnessed these crimes and they swore Elizabeth started ingesting victims' blood as part of dark rituals, which spun into tales of vampirism. Yet others claimed that after an exceptionally brutal beating, she discovered the regenerating effects of bodily fluid on the skin and started bathing in it to stay beautiful for her beloved husband. But when Ferenc, sorry, I'm killing that, succumbed to an infection and died at a young age in 1604, Elizabeth absolutely lost it. She took up permanent residence in Countess, I suck at these names, you guys, Counttice, Countess. That's probably horrifically wrong, but that's what we're going with. Locking herself in her mansion and had girls kidnapped from the village and brought to her home. Oftentimes, she was too depressed to get out of bed. Poor, poor Elizabeth. So Anna would bring the helpless child to Elizabeth and she would bite chunks out of their faces. The things we do for self-care. Then she'd have them burned. Waste not, want not. Eventually, she ran out of common girls to torture, and she started picking off daughters from the nobility who had less money than the peasant girls. The Hungarian king decided at some point he could no longer turn a blind eye. She was abusing her power and she was a complete serial killer. And he finally noticed, or acknowledged that he had noticed. Anyway, big hero. So, he sent his lieutenants, and they arrested Elizabeth Bathroy and put her on trial. When they arrived at her castle, they found bodies, some alive, some dead, strewn all over various rooms, some partially burned, some buried in graves, all over the grounds. This evidence, along with testimony from, I believe, more than 300 people from the village, and confessions from her group of confidants, ended in a guilty verdict. She was convicted of 80 murders, although, of course, legend has brought it way up, close to, I believe, nearly 700, something like that. While Anna the Witch and the torturers were executed, Elizabeth was allowed to live in her castle, permanently behind the brick wall. And if that doesn't burn your biscuits, she got to die peacefully in her sleep. The villagers rioted when her body was buried in their town. She was reportedly removed to the Bath-er-oye family crypt in eastern Hungary, although when the site was excavated in 1995, her body was nowhere to be found. Thanks for watching our very first episode of Nurder.